Hello everybody and welcome to this video. It's GCSE Results Day 2017 and it's super early, so I'm going to go through the grade boundaries for this 2017 AQA GCSE English Language and English Literature. Make sure you watch yesterday's video, an important message about your exam results. Today might be a great day, it might not be so great, it might be bad, it might be amazing, but whatever it is, it's important that you watch that video and take hold of the message I talk about within it. So here are the English language grade boundaries. The two papers together combine to 160 marks, and the grade 9 is 123 and above out of 160. Now I'm just going to give a warning that these grade boundaries, just the same as in previous years, always look quite easy. You would look at that and think, oh, that's not that hard, but actually it is very hard to get that many marks because you've got to be perceptive in all of the reading questions and that kind of thing. So you can have a look on the screen. 113 to 122 is an 8, 104 to 112 a 7, and down it goes. Now what's interesting to think about here, a lot of people have been talking about how do these new grades compare to the old grades, okay? Now, in the 2016 AQA higher tier English language exam, to get an A star, you needed 55 out of 80. Or in other words, if we were to make the marks similar to this exam, you needed 110 out of 160. So you can see that the grade 8 today is broadly similar in marks to the old A star. Similarly, for an A grade in the 2016 AQA higher tier English language paper, you needed 50 out of 80 or 100 out of 160. So you can see that the 7 is broadly similar to the previous A grade. And that's information that we knew, that the 7 is broadly in line with the A. Ofqual have said the same amount of people getting 7s will be the same amount of people who got A's last year, and the same amount getting 4s will be the same amount who got C's last year. So there was never really much confusion about the 7 and the 4, but it was all about the 9, and you can see that 123 out of 160 is a lot higher than the previous A star, which would have been around 110. What about the C grade? Well, this is where there's some interesting speculation to be had, because on the old exam, higher tier again, it was about half marks to get a C grade. Now in this exam, half marks is 80, and you can see that half marks on this new exam is actually closer to a 5 than a 4. And there's all of this debate going on about a 4 is the equivalent of a C and is a pass, but a 5 is a strong pass, and there's a kind of, well, what should we be aiming for? And it's interesting that the old C is more in line with the 5. But these are the grade boundaries for English language, and just interesting to know that you're looking at about half marks for the sort of 5, and then up it goes from there, and no real shocks apart from the fact that the 9 is very high, and much higher than the previous A star on the old exams. But again, we knew that, didn't we? For English literature, we have higher marks, also out of 160, and the 9 is 141 and above. Now this might seem a little bit shocking, but it's always been this way with literature. The marks have always been higher than the language. Last year, to get an A star, you needed 53 out of 68. So, the marks are always higher, and again, you can work out from this that the sort of half marks is actually a 5 here, or much more in line with a 5 than a 4. And the 114 for the 7 is still pretty high. So literature is always historically that little bit harder, because students historically do that a little bit better on the papers. So the marks might look a little bit more daunting here for literature. Now let me know how you did. Put a comment in the comment section, send me a tweet at Mr. Bruff English, and do watch the video from yesterday. It's really important to put this into perspective, however you do. So thanks for watching, and I hope you do really well today. This is the early morning video from Mr. Bruff.